Ultimate Foldable Battle Part 2. We've got a lot of content in here, and I gotta tell you, it ran a little longer than I wanted it to, but I didn't really want to edit out too much stuff. I did edit a lot, so check this out. You don't want to miss it. Let's get right to it. Now let's talk about performance and multitasking. Of course, we know with the 3 phones, here you've got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, here you got the Snapdragon Gen 2, and then on the Pixel, we have the Tensor 4th generation chip. And if you want to see the specs here, I'll quickly show you the benchmarks on each of them. As you can tell, the Gen 3, of course, is going to be the fastest with the Snapdragon, and the Gen 2, second place on paper. And then last place is actually the Pixel 9 Pro, the Tensor chip. But if you watch any of my other videos, you know that I say specs don't mean everything. So as far as performance go, they all open apps just as fast. So performance on the day-to-day, you just open up apps. Here, I'm going to open up 2 apps side by side, do the same thing on each of them. And you can see they all opened up pretty quickly. I like to look at Instagram and Facebook at the same time, just to pass some time when I have some downtime and I just want to veg. But the point is, they all will do it, and they all do it pretty well. Now, I don't know if you notice or not, you can see where the Z Fold is a little bit more narrow than the other two, and the Pixel having almost 2 normal size apps side by side. But on this open screen like this, it's not a whole lot of noticeable difference. Now, as you see on here on the OnePlus, it had the dock station there by default. You can hold down long press and it goes away. So now they're all the same with full screen apps. Now on the Z Fold, you could bring up that dock just by long pressing. There it is. And here you can bring it up again with long pressing. And on the Pixel, you could long press, I believe, or do you have to slide it up? You have to slide it up just gently to get the dock. So now you have the dock on all 3. Of course, on the Pixel, it's a little larger and it will vanish by itself. It doesn't stay. Whereas you can see the dock will stay put on the OnePlus and the Samsung. Now let's look closer at multitasking. On the OnePlus, you have 2 apps here, and that's basically it. You get 2 apps side by side, which for me, 90% of the time, that's enough, or even almost 100% of the time. I rarely ever think about using a 3rd app, unless I'm doing something like a Bible study, then I do. Now, these other 2 will allow you to display 3 apps all at once. On the OnePlus, all you do is you just hold down, like we've got a YouTube. I can sit there and put it in the middle, and there it does. You got all 3 in there. You just have to press the app that you want right here. So it'll switch back, giving you the 2. Now, if you want to extend one, like let's say I want to extend the YouTube video full size or better, you can touch up top and you can expand. And now it's full screen on its own. So then you got the YouTube video playing right there. And then if you want to go up to the other 2, they're right up top. There you go. You just hit the top and the other 2 drop down and you can see these. And if you want to go back to the YouTube, you just click it and you got the full screen. Now over here on the Samsung, if you were to grab another app, let's grab YouTube, you could pick it up there and it will play right here. But as you can see, scrunch down, that's no good. So let's go ahead and remove that. So another way you could do it on the Samsung is you can create and you can grab the app, put it in the center, and you make a floater out of it. And this floating app, you can move it around anywhere you want. You can actually resize it here to any size, make it smaller, put it on the side. So that's really nice. You can have a floating app, and that way you can leave the other 2 full size. So on the OnePlus Open, it's a little different, and it only do particular apps. I'm going to do Chrome right here. You take it, you hold it in the center for a moment, and then you have a floating app. So now you can move this app around. Yeah, I know. You can move this app around, put it anywhere you want, and you can resize it. So you grab a corner here, I believe. Yeah, grab a corner, and you can resize it and place it anywhere you want. Swipe up to close a floating window. So if you want to close it, you just swipe up and it's gone. Over here, to close this floating window, hold the top piece there, the little line, and then you can close it. Hey, have you subscribed to the channel yet? Why haven't you subscribed yet? It's free. Just go down there and click the button. It helps out the channel. And I promise you, the content will only get better as long as you subscribe. Click down below to subscribe. I appreciate you. So let's real quickly revisit the Pixel 9 Pro Fold because it does actually more than 2 apps. It can do 3. Check this out. I'm going to open up YouTube and I'm going to play a video here, such as this one, which happens to be one of my videos. Let's go ahead and make it small. Check it out. There it is, small. Now let's go ahead and open these apps. So here we go. And we can play this at the same time while I browse these 2 apps. Check it out. You can actually shrink it down even more. You can place it anywhere you want. 4 corners, in the middle, up there. You just can't play it in the center here. It wants to go to the side. But see here, you can actually do 3 apps at the same time. Now the OnePlus, you can actually have all three apps open at the same time. It's the only one you can do that. You just shrink it down here and they're all three side by side. But of course, they're smaller, harder to deal with at this point, but you can put all three if you need to see all three apps at the same time on the screen. So let's move on to the cameras. We'll start off with the Samsung. The Samsung hasn't really changed much. They have the same set of three cameras, which is the 50 megapixel main shooter, 10 megapixel 3x zoom, and then of course a 12 megapixel ultra wide. So out of these three phones, the one that has the highest specs as far as camera goes is the OnePlus Open. So the OnePlus Open has a 48 megapixel main camera, a 64 megapixel 3x zoom lens, and a 48 megapixel ultra wide. So just specs wise, it beats out the Z Fold, except for the main shooter being 48 versus 50. Now moving over to the Pixel Fold, it has a 48 megapixel main shooter, a 10.8 megapixel 5x zoom, and then a 10.5 megapixel ultra wide. So spec wise, that one would be the lowest. Now between the three, you would think the OnePlus Open would take the best photos. We'll take a quick look at some photos and see. And for my opinion, the one that takes the best photos happens to be the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. Now the first photos are indoors in the dark. On the first photo you see is actually the Pixel 9 Pro showing the actual scene because it's the only one that will capture the dark as the dark. Now we're also going to see the photos with night mode on each of the cameras. You got the Z Fold and you got the Pixel Fold and then the OnePlus Open. Now as you can see in these photos, Samsung typically brightens up their photos, and you can see what it did is it washed the outside out, and then the Pixel 9 Pro, it looks really pretty balanced all the way through, and the OnePlus Open seems to more or less focus on the outside where the inside remains dark. And believe it or not, it really is dark outside. Now these next shots were taken outside after I took the inside shots. And you can see here, this is the Pixel taking the shot as it sees it outside. Still pretty dark out, but it is dawn, so there is a little bit of light coming in. Now all three cameras are set on night mode because again, Samsung and OnePlus Open automatically did it. And if you look at the OnePlus Open, it's kind of dark. It didn't do a really good job on that at all. Its night mode leaves a lot to be desired. And then the Z Fold, like Samsung typically does, it colorized this thing quite a bit more. So when you look at the Pixel is more of what it was at the time. Because as you all may have experienced, if you go outside in dawn, it's really not that colorful out there. So that's not a real representation of what it looked like. So for me, the real standout winner in this one is the Pixel Fold. So it brightened up a little bit here, as you can see. So the 9 Fold Pro, it did a really good job. Perfect representation from what it looked like out there. And now surprisingly, the OnePlus Open did pretty good here in adding a little bit more light to this photo, which I think is a really good shot. And then you have the Z Fold kind of running there neck and neck with the OnePlus, although the OnePlus kind of beat it in saturation on this photo. Really interesting. Now here we got a midday representation with a nice bright sunlight out, clouds in the sky, just a beautiful picturesque day. And you can see here, they all three did really good. I don't really know that there's a standout on this one because all three did well. You can see here how the Samsung saturated a little more blue in the sky, where the OnePlus and the Pixel did really good, keeping things as I saw them. But if you had to get real picky in these photos, you can see that the Open actually did wash out a little bit of it in the lighter area, especially when you look at the fence line. It kind of matches the Z Fold in the washed out fence line. Now what I did here is I actually just cropped in on that same photo on all three, just to give you an idea how well and how clear the Pixel did. And I think it's all due to processing. When you look at it, you could see that the Open really washed things out a little bit, especially the mower, and the Pixel kept everything pretty much the same. And then you can see the Z Fold actually bleached out that side of that house. It's really white when it's not. It's more of a gray color like you're seeing in the Pixel photograph. Now going back here to the early morning, I had a rare opportunity where we had 3 hummingbirds on the feeder. This is the first time we actually ever seen this. I happened to be inside the house, but I went ahead and used 10 times digital zoom on all 3 cameras to capture this, just so we can compare. The 9 Pro Fold did really well. Open did really well, and so did the Z Fold. But I think that the Z Fold didn't have as much focal point as the other two. And that's because, as we know, the Pixel Fold has a 5 times zoom camera. It's bumping up to 10 times. And the OnePlus Open has a 64 megapixel zoom camera, where the Samsung just has that 10 megapixel zoom camera that it's cropping in from.
Okay, that's just the standard 4K on all 4 of them. And I'm using them all on the same tripod to see how they look and how they handle the sun and how they handle everything outside. The color on all of them are really good, up to see indoors to really determine how good. Do a quick run test with them.
Now doing a quick sunlight test for the screens in direct sunlight. We've got them all looking pretty much close to each other, but believe it or not, the Z Fold 6 actually has the brightest screen outdoors, but not on paper. It has the least. It's at 2600. The OnePlus Open's 2800, and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is supposed to be 2700. But in actual performance, the Z Fold 6 really takes the cake here. It looks beautiful.
I'd be amiss if I didn't talk about the front-facing cameras. On the Samsung and the Pixel, the front-facing are both the same. They're both 10 megapixel cameras. And on the inside of the Pixel, it's a 10 megapixel camera, where it's different. On the Samsung, it's only a 4 megapixel camera because it's hidden behind the screen. Now on the OnePlus, you have a 20 megapixel camera on the inside screen. And on this outside screen, it's a 32 megapixel. So as far as megapixels go and specs, the OnePlus Open wins there. So after you've taken all your photos and videos, all three phones will drain quite a bit. You got the Samsung has a 4400 milliamp battery. The OnePlus Open has a 4805 milliamp battery, and the Pixel has a 4650 milliamp battery. So the smallest next, and then the largest battery you find in the OnePlus Open. Now, regardless of what they say on specs, I don't have any problem lasting a day with all these. Now, doing a charging test or a draining test would require a whole nother video. I actually did do a video on charging. If you want to check it out here, I put the Samsung up against the Pixel, both in wired and wireless. You might be surprised on how that came out. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. The OnePlus Open has a 67-watt wired charger, so it's the fastest among them all. They say it'll go from 0 to 100% in 30 minutes. These other two in 30 minutes will get up to about 50%. So actually, if you're looking for longevity and battery life, you need to make sure you carry one of these battery packs with you. You'll find this in the link below.
Now, when talking about being optimized, each of these devices have their own ecosystem, and the Samsung has the largest ecosystem. What I mean by that is they have their tablets, their watches, their earbuds, their refrigerators, their TVs. They got all kinds of things that work in this ecosystem, as well as laptops and monitors, and I can go on. So the largest ecosystem you'll find with the Samsung. Now the OnePlus Open and the Pixel, they also have their own earbuds and watches. I'm not sure about a watch with the OnePlus, but I'm sure they probably do. But what I do know is their devices are not as feature rich as a Samsung. That's why I carry a Samsung watch. I use Samsung earbuds simply because they are very compatible with all other Android devices. As a matter of fact, I use the watch with these other two, no problem. Same with the earbuds. It transfers between all of them. So I'm not missing out on anything by not using them with the Samsung. But I got to tell you, between the three, as far as pure speed, you've got this one because it has a faster hard drive in it, and it comes with 16 gigs of RAM, which so does the Pixel. The Z Fold only comes with 12 gigs of RAM. So the last thing I want to say about optimization is AI. We know AI is coming. We know it's here. There's no fighting it. If you don't like it, sorry, it's here. The number one player in AI would be the Pixel Fold, since Gemini is made by the folks at Google. So it's very much optimized for this device. And of course, Samsung paying to use it on theirs. So their Samsung AI is actually the Gemini, but it works really well on here. And they have a lot of customizations and features that only work with the Samsung. Whichever way you go, you're going to miss out on something because they each have a feature that's not shared by the other. Now, as far as the OnePlus Open goes, it doesn't have any of the real AI features as of yet, but I know it's coming. Apparently, it's going to drop with Android 15 and their Oxygen 15 operating system. Rumor is possibly by the end of the year. We'll just have to wait and see and watch my videos for news on that. For those of you who are trying to hold out on AI, just want good performing Android, this is the phone for you, the OnePlus Open. Now that really kind of leads us into price and value. You get a lot of super features here and the fastest processor on the market right now with the Z Fold 6, but that also comes with the highest price tag right now on the foldables. And it does fluctuate, so you got to look for those sales. But right now, last time I looked, this thing was $1,899, so $1,900 at the base model. Where you can get the Pixel 9 Pro Fold at the base model for $1,799, so $1,800. And then the OnePlus Open, you can get it for $1,599, or even watch for those special deals where you can find an open box or maybe even one that's refurbished on Amazon and get those for $13.99. I've even seen them for $11.99. And when they update this phone to Android 15 with all the new AI, this is going to be, I believe, the best value, the best bang for your buck. So the best fit for the users, if you are a gamer and you like to do high-speed gaming on this thing, high resolution, or if you like to do a lot of video editing or anything of such, this is the phone for you. And you get the DeX. And DeX is a whole nother discussion, but basically it's a desktop version of this once you project it onto something like a TV or a monitor. You can connect a mouse and a keyboard to it, and this thing works a lot like a computer. These two try their hand in that, but they don't do well at all. So this one's for your high end. So now if you want just pure Android, the closest you can get, kind of like in the Apple world, people that like the Apple, they like it because it's all pure Apple. Well, if you want all pure Android, the Pixel Fold would be the one for you. Don't let that tensor processor scare you. In any test I've ever done, this performs just as fast as the rest of them, unless you're getting into high-end gaming or video editing. I do have a video editing video right here if you want to take a look at that. And then if you want something in the middle with the best price value, that would be the OnePlus Open. Now, once their software catches up with their hardware, such as the cameras, this thing could be unbeatable. The only thing holding it back in the camera department is actually the processing. It's not the hardware. So I hope you've gained a lot of insight from this video. My goal was to share all these with you, give you little bits and pieces of each of them so you can make a better decision if you're looking to purchase one of these phones. If I've reached my goal, please let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button because it really does help out the channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to do so you don't miss out on further content on these three and more. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Until next time, God bless.